Yes, okay. So I also love Hayward. I've lived here my entire life, deeply rooted in the community, but being rooted in the community isn't enough. You actually had to have experience and you have to do the work. And I've been doing the work on behalf of this community since I was 3 years old. I have the rough palm hands to prove it. My family owns a restaurant and I've been washing dishes, busting tables, emulating what the adults were doing in my life at a very young age. So that's where my hard work and passion for service comes from, is my community. For those of you that don't know, I'm in this role due to a huge loss. We lost Supervisor Richard Wyatt almost a year ago, and those are huge shoes to fill in this community. Many of you know he was a champion for labor, for environmental justice, and giving opportunities to at-risk youth. So I have huge shoes to fill, and it was a very competitive process leading into the appointment. So I want to thank everyone here that called, wrote letters, and advocated for me to take this position, because I wanted to do it because of my experience, because of my commitment to District 2. District 2 serves all of Hayward, Union City, Newark, and parts of Fremont. And since I was appointed in April, not even a year, my team has hit the ground running. Many of you know the amazing Jenny DiMartini. She also serves as my district director. And what we've been able to accomplish in a short period of time is securing $7 million for St. Rose Hospital. Next Thursday, we'll be given an update on sheriff oversight. We've also invested a significant amount of money into shelters and Covenant House, the first transitional age youth shelter here outside of North County. So my office is dedicated to being responsive and listening to the needs of our community. Our priorities, okay, I'll stop. I was told to stop. I'm happy to answer any questions. Yes, Robin.
What are your priorities?
My priorities, thank you. So, public safety, so advancing the work under Reimagine Adult Justice, which are 53 recommendations that came out of a consulting work with Wendy Still and Wendy Ware. So through my work on being the chair of public protection, we're going to be tackling those recommendations. One of the largest ones is sheriff oversight. We're going to be giving the public an update on that next Thursday. My priorities are also addressing affordable housing. For those of you that don't know the city of Hayward, where I used to serve, and see my amazing former colleagues here, the city of Hayward was the only city in the last point in time count to reduce our unsheltered population by 22%. So a lot of the policies and the work we've done in Hayward, I want to bring those ideas to the county, fully acknowledging that every city has the right to make their own decision. But what I want to present to them is this menu of options, and the expectation is every city and unincorporated should be doing our part to tackle, minimize the number of people that are without housing. Another priority is behavioral health. We're going to have a lot of changes coming up with the state budget as well as Proposition 1. So we have to be responsive to make sure we're addressing the needs for our community, because we know mental health is a serious issue in the community. Another major priority specific to District 2 is keeping St. Rose Hospital open. So I also want to acknowledge my colleague, Board President Nate Miley, who's been instrumental in securing funding, and he was also one of the first champions to talk about sheriff oversight in the county. So this really takes collaboration in order to get these initiatives across the finish line. Other questions? That's it. Don't let me off easy. Oh.
So how did you find the adjustment to go from city council to supervisor? I mean, obviously you're
well, I'll walk around and show you that my hair is falling out. It's no joke. It really is.
The first couple of things.
Oh my goodness. So it's just the workload, the pace, making decisions on countywide issues. I'm really thankful for my experience. I don't know how I would be able to transition into this role. I thank my team for bringing me up to speed. And just want to also note that I don't have an opponent, but I am here today because I feel it's important to engage with constituents. I still have to earn your vote. You could choose not to vote for me, and that is your right. But I'm here to engage and to hear from all of you to earn your support. So I would be honored to have your endorsement.
Me?
Anything else? Yes.
No, I don't have any. I was just saying anybody else.
You have my endorsement.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. So for those of us who may be attending the Democratic Club meeting for the first time and want to be a little bit more familiar with the collaborative work that it takes a community to do within District 2 to actually implement things and make them worthwhile. Can you speak to that collaborative effort a little bit?
Absolutely. So my office is making themselves available to any council member, mayor, city manager. We're having routine meetings, regular meetings with city manager and the mayors of every city within the district, and finding ways to partner to leverage more funding. We've been very successful in securing funding for District 2, so we'll continue to do that, but it is a two-way street. If we don't talk and I don't know what the issues and the priorities are for every city, I can't deliver and meet those needs. So it's really important to be open and accessible, and we'll continue to do that. Thank you. Can I get open?
Yeah. Okay, I'm here now. Let's do this.
So we have 5 minutes, and anybody who wants to ask questions.
Okay.
Can ask questions afterwards.
Okay.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No worries. I'm used to it. Good evening, everyone. Assemblymember Liz Ortega. Excited to be here tonight to ask for your endorsement for re-election. Fortunately, I do not have an opponent. I am unopposed, but nonetheless, wanted to come here and give you an update in terms of what I've been working on, and would still love to get your support. In my first year in office, was able to bring back millions of dollars to the district, including St. Rose, who is a critical staple of our community and is a priority of mine to make sure we keep open. In addition, I passed several bills, one of them including first of its kind educational bill for kids in high school to learn about their rights on the job. Unfortunately, our laws are going backward, and we have a lot of kids who are working in very unsafe conditions across the state. In fact, I recently read a report about kids working in the Central Valley as young as 12 years old, getting injured and in fact dying. And without an OSHA director, there's no one holding them accountable. And so we passed this law, but there's still a lot of more work to do because I can't educate kids about their rights if they're not in school and they're working in factories and here in fast food chains. So I'll be doing a little bit more. I was just appointed as the new Labor and Employment Chair for the state of California. Very excited about that. As you all know, or some of you should know, my background is in labor. I spent there for over 20 years, and very interested in just in educating my colleagues about what it is that we do as a labor movement, but also doing exactly what I just said, enforcement. In Sacramento, we're in a bubble where we pass a lot of laws, and then we don't look back and say, well, is it working? Are we doing the right thing? And so as the new Labor and Employment Chair, I want to make sure that we're looking and we're saying, okay, what's happening, what's not. One of my first committee hearings is going to be around accountability. So bringing both the Labor and Employment Committee, the representative from the state, and the staff that's there at OSHA to figure out what's happening and where the resources are going. Recently, we're in a bad budget year, but I'm in the mindset that being in the 5th largest economy, when there's a will, there's a way. I remember a couple of years ago when the bank in Santa Clara, was about to go into crisis, we were able to fix that in less than 24 hours. So if we can fix that, I want to make sure that we keep and continue services to our most critical communities, and that includes things like social services, and this is more important for the county, who's our safety net, and making sure that they have the resources they need to provide for the most vulnerable. And lastly, I'm just looking forward, even though it's a lot of doom and gloom, there's also a lot of hope in making sure that we continue to pass laws and hold folks accountable to make sure that things are distributed equally. And it's one of the reasons I ran in the first place, was to make sure that we stay strong for those who need it the most. As employment chair, I've also been looking at the crisis we have within our senior community. More and more seniors are having to work until they're 80 or 90. There's no longer such a thing as retirement with dignity after we got rid of all the pension and retirement funds, and that's unacceptable. And so really looking at what we can do there when it comes to our seniors, as well as women. During the pandemic, we saw a lot of women leave the workforce. And every year in Sacramento, we celebrate equal pay for equal work, and I'm like, why are we celebrating this? It's not a celebration. Women are still making 60 cents to the dollar, if not more, than a man, and we should be fighting for equality. So those are kind of the big picture. Sorry, I've gone pretty quickly here since you guys were like, hello, come and take a seat. So I'll stop there and see if you have any questions.
Could you say where the 20th district is? What part of that?
Yeah, so I represent San Leandro. Hayward is our largest city, Union City. Then I have a lot of the unincorporated areas. And then a little bit of Dublin, a little bit of Pleasanton.
Any questions?
Good questions over here.
What did you find were the biggest challenges for your first term in office, up in Sacramento?
Yeah. I would say transparency, especially around the budget. It's something that the governor really holds close. And, a lot of times we don't find out about what he's thinking until he announces it, and we see it in a press conference. And then we're kind of playing defense. So that's been surprising in a way in terms of, how we're able to fight for what we need. So I was asked to be put on budget, and I was. So I expect to be a lot more involved this year than last. Yes, thank you.
So what is coming 2 to years with the budget shortfall, how do you see areas of healthcare and mental health being affected?
Well, the mental health, the governor has stated over and over that he's going to continue to fund it and expand in terms of mental health. We have this bond measure that it's going to be on the ballot to try to get more resources to deal with our mental health crisis. We're going to see the way that our state does our taxes. I mean, last year, the reason we're seeing such a big gap in terms of going from this huge surplus to where we are today in a deficit is because of our tax structure. And the feds, because of the storms, delayed the tax collection and never, we found out after the fact, so we're waiting, so everybody's making these projections. But this year I think we have a rainy day fund. So I'm hopeful that from what I'm hearing for colleagues who have been there a while and those who were here during the recession, is that we're in a much better place than in those times, particularly with the rainy day fund. And he said he's going to use it, so we're keeping an eye on that. Yes.
What are you most excited about in your upcoming few years of service?
Most excited is, I would say, traveling the state and taking, what we do here in AD20 and the vibrancy that we have in this community and the willingness to fight and the willingness to make a change and stand up for the most vulnerable and taking it across the state. I'm going to be visiting communities in the Central Valley, down to LA. I'm going to go up to Sacramento to the very top and really just engage more, but also give hope about what's possible and what we're doing here in the Bay Area, and just trying to push for more changes as I lead in more spaces.
You mentioned young children working in Central Valley and not being in school. And does California
Nope.
Why not?
He quit.
And, sorry, I'm not up to speed on this, but when did the person quit? And, I mean, is a replacement being, should be a high priority because children are working and not in school and are dying. They shouldn't be working.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's just so important. How long has the person been, when did the person quit? How long has it been?
They quit actually after a news story came out about what was happening in one of the it was a chicken factory down in the Central Valley, or poultry factory. And within a week of that story coming out in the LA Times, he resigned. So I'm going to be hosting my first hearing in a couple of weeks, specifically on that, and bringing in heads of those departments to find out what's going on and what we need to do to make sure that they have the resources. And again, if we can save a major bank in less than 24 hours, we can put some services and resources and attention into what's happening with our youth. You know, it's not a sexy headline like retail theft or other things that we're putting so much resource into because it's happening in the shadows. So my job is to bring it out.
Excuse me, but
Yeah.
when did the person resign?
A few weeks ago.
And is there a deputy?
There's a deputy, yeah, there's a deputy. Yes.
It's not good enough.
No, exactly, not good enough.
No,
I
children
agree.
should not be working.
Yep. Yes.
Now, what are our current child labor laws in California?
I mean, there's a lot. The problem is the enforcement piece of it. They're not supposed to work under, you know, the age of 16. They're supposed to get work permits. They're supposed to be all kinds of laws. The problem is that they're not being enforced. We send out inspectors to inspect some of these companies, but they go during the day. They go between 9 to 5. Usually these kids are working in the evenings. We also have a law that allows these companies to hire their own inspectors to do their own reports. So they're essentially policing themselves. Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's like a movie.
Yeah, it is.
And this is fairly new for us in California for that term, but they've been dealing with it in other states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, and where all the meatpacking plants are. So maybe states can get together and kind of come up with a plan collectively. And because some of the other states are trying to force better, because they do work at night as opposed to during the day. So I'm just saying that now that it's been exposed.
Yeah, well, New York is actually taking my model legislation and replicating it, but that one is specific to kids in school. The other ones, unfortunately, we're seeing the opposite, where states are lowering the age in which kids can go to work, and yeah, especially in the South, the red states. So, you know, it's up to us to really, like we've always said, California leads the way and leads the rest of the country, and it's up to us to do that. There's a gentleman.
I recently turned out as the director of the board of directors chair for 4Cs of Alameda County. For those that don't know, 4Cs is a child care resource referral for those who can't afford child care. We provide vouchers that are monies allocated from the state, alternative payment vouchers. We partnered with your office to distribute over 35,000 diapers to low-income families in District 2 in Hayward. And it was an amazing look. I was wondering if you had any plans of continuing that effort or expanding on that effort.
Absolutely. It was my first time doing it. Thanks to Supervisor Marquez and Miley. It was a huge success. We raised, I can't remember the number, but it was over $70,000 to distribute diapers. So this year we're definitely going to do it a lot bigger with serving a lot more children because the needs grown significantly, and it's going to be one of those programs that I hope I'll never have to use, but we'll continue to do it until we don't have to anymore and make it a lot bigger. So yes. And that means we'll need more volunteers, so I'll hit you guys.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? All right, big hand of we're going to do the judges. So, let's see. Johnson and Fickes?
Fickes, but yeah.
Oh, Fickes, sorry. I'm going to have you come up here.
Sure.
All right, thanks for coming.
Mark, you might want to tell them about the issue with the ballot.
Oh, yeah. On the ballot, I think we listed as incumbent for,
Right.
It's actually commissioner.
Right, it's not an incumbent.
Yeah, not an incumbent, so sorry about that. So again, 2-minute opening statement, 1-minute question on the papers that you got. Write down your questions. Dan and Paul will collect them and go over the questions and hand them to me, and I'll ask the questions for each candidate for them to answer, okay? So if you have those papers filled out for the judges, for Alameda County Judge, please fill that out now while they're doing their opening statement. I appreciate it. So welcome, guys. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's see. Let's see, Judge Johnson, can you go first with the opening statement?
Where's my time?
Right here.
Opening statement.
As soon as you start talking, the clock will start.
2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me. My name is Michael Johnson. I'm candidate for Superior Court Judge C12. I've worn a lot of different hats in my career, both from a small startup law firm doing plaintiff's work and defendant's trial work, then moving to a corporate setting with AT&T and Warner Media, doing a lot of consumer and business and government and healthcare work. I've had the opportunity to get a lot of great, endorsements in my career and in my candidacy thus far. I'm happy to have the mayor and the vice mayor as two of my supporters for this campaign. I've also received the endorsement of several sitting judges as well as retired judges. One of my proudest endorsements and one of my proudest comments was from the presiding judge, who, in my capacity as a temporary judge, says my work is among the best in the county. I sit as a temporary judge for the last 4 years, hearing family law, traffic, small claims, and civil harassment. I've worked a lot in the Alameda County community. I've lived here 35 years. I've been an attorney for 33 years. I'm past president of the Alameda County Bar Association. I'm past president of the Alameda County Volunteer Legal Service Corporation for the last 4 years. Through 3 different presidents, I've served as general counsel for Charles Houston Bar Association, which is the African American Bar Association in the Bay Area, serving the community. 30 seconds, okay, thank you. Serving the community to the best of my ability. I'd really appreciate your vote. I'm here to answer any questions that you have. Thank you for your consideration.
All right, Mr. Fickes, go ahead.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Fickes. I'm currently a commissioner with the Alameda County Superior Court. It is always special to be in Hayward here for me. My grandparents lived here, ran a dry cleaning business here in Hayward. My father was born and raised here in Hayward, and I spent a lot of time in my childhood here in Hayward, and so it's always special to feel like I'm coming back home a little bit. Although I do live in Oakland right now with my husband, and we're now empty nesters, our kids are in college. So as a commissioner, basically I preside in Department 603 in the Fremont Hall of Justice, where I preside over criminal infractions, which are mostly vehicle code violations and other such violations. So I hear hundreds of cases every single week. And my job as a commissioner is to make sure that everyone comes into my court feels like they're heard, that they are shown respect and given dignity, and that they are afforded due process of law. In addition to my work as commissioner, I serve on the outreach, or I used to serve on the outreach committee, where I was devoted to making sure that we try to make our courts as open and inclusive as a place can be. I'll add that I'm currently the only openly gay man to serve as a commissioner, and if elected as judge, I would be only the 4th or 5th maybe openly gay judge. gay male judge. I was recently appointed by the Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court to serve on an advisory committee with the Judicial Council, which is designed to assure fairness and equal administrative justice throughout the court system throughout the state of California. I also was recently appointed by our new presiding judge to actually supervise the incoming crop of temporary judges. Temporary judges are different than commissioners. They too are appointed by the court, but they're not employees. They volunteer their time. They come in a minimum of 3 days in a year to cover calendars when people like me or other judges are on vacation. And it's a valuable service they appoint to the court, but I felt very privileged to be told that I would be mentoring some of our younger crop of temporary judges who are presiding in traffic courts. There we go.
All right, thank you guys both. Did anybody have questions that they filled out that they wanted to
cards, just pass it down to Jan or myself.
I have them,
You just ask it. Just ask it.
Just ask, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So there's a statistic that says over 80% of African American students that don't graduate from high school go to prison, and it's 70% for Latino youth. If it's that, I'm sure that for Asian Pacific Islanders and for our white students, they're not far behind. My question is do you fear that do you feel as if there is a correlation between early care education and the prison populations that we seem to rise in California?
Both of you get to answer this, so
1 minute each.
Yeah, 1 minute each. So, Councilman Joyce.
The question is, do I feel that that statistic adds to recidivism and prison?
Do you feel that there's a correlation between that statistic and early care and education?
I haven't really seen the statistic that you're referring to. I think it's commonly thought that underprivileged youth don't have the opportunities that everyone else does, which leads to certain negative consequences in society, but I really can't comment on the study that you're referring to.
Same question.
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with that study either, but what I would say more generally speaking is that what I see in my courtroom, for example, is sometimes there can be a bit of a revolving door in and out of the justice system, where particularly young people who don't have employment, don't have certain skill sets, they find themselves in and out of a revolving door. I'm in traffic court, right, so it's not felonies or things like that, but I see kids come in, they get in trouble for not having a driver's license, they don't have the resources to figure out how to get a driver's license, but they're driving to get to work and make money to help contribute to their family, then they get picked up again for another driver's license ticket. So one of the things I would say though is that we have tools like diversion available to us in order to address the fact that young offenders do deserve a second chance and an opportunity to find a way to get out of a revolving door in and out of the justice system. But again, I'm not familiar with the statistics you're talking about, so I don't have a direct comment on them.
Whenever I'm asked on the ballot to vote for a judge, I do a little, I do as much research as possible, but it's, I don't know what to think sometimes, unless there's been a case that I've read about, or something hits me in the judge's resume or background. So I'm wondering, for both of you, what do you find rewarding in the work that you do as a judge, or in your legal work and experience, or as a judge?
Do I get to go first this time, or are we going to trade off? Thanks. So thank you for that question. I'll tell you, one of the things that I find rewarding is the fact that I get to interact with the public on a daily basis, and most of the people that come into my courtroom, they're not represented by lawyers, so it's really me having a direct interaction. I mentioned this on my website, but I'll tell you, recently I had a young man who came into my court, and he'd been in 3 or 4 times before I was appointed to my job and couldn't get his driver's license. And I probably should admit this, but my boss, the former presiding judge, told him he had one last chance to get a license. He came into my courtroom, he didn't have it. So I asked him, why don't you have your license yet? What's going on with your life? And he talked to me a little bit about his challenges with reading, his challenges on how to study and how to actually take a test. And so what I love about my job is I actually got to talk to him a little bit about how I helped my kids study for their own driver's licenses. I've got 2 19-year-olds, so I've been through it. And I said, look, why don't you I'll give you one last try, even though this was supposedly your last chance. And he looked at me and he said, I don't have a father. All right, I'll stop there.
Hi, that was a great question, thank you. And I'm glad that you asked the question, because most people don't know, why am I voting for a judge? I don't know anything about them, right? So assuming we both do the same type of work, we both have trial experience, we both do traffic and whatnot. What do I like about it? Helping people who don't understand the process, who may need an interpreter and cannot understand what's going on. If it's an ambulatory issue, a senior citizen, whatever, help them get to the courtroom, understand what's going on, and explain the process to them so it's not so scary. No one goes to court when they're super happy. It's always a traumatic experience, right? It doesn't have to be. If you understand what's going on, the judge explains to you and sees you and hears what you're saying, right, and gives you the opportunity to be heard. So what I like about it is the interaction with people, but also treating people as people, right? Not just a number going through the court system, letting them know what's going on and helping them understand and get through what's a traumatic part in their life usually. Sure.
Another question.
Me. Oh.
You're going to do timing and the budget?
Being a judge, you have to be fair and impartial.
Yep.
What qualities do you have that make you fair and impartial?
Are you first?
Do we go back?
Trading,
Do we switch? I go first this time? My reputation for being fair and impartial. My reputation for not answering any questions or committing to any person or political philosophy or whatnot. When you come to me and come in front of me as a judge, you just want me to hear your facts of your case. You don't want me to have a preconceived notion or an opinion about you or people that look like you or people that have cases like you. You want me just to look at your matter on the facts always. So those are the qualities I possess, and that's why the presiding judge said that the work that I do as a temporary judge is among the best in the county. Thank you.
All right, is your timer ready to go?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I would say that my life experience is part of what shows that I'm fair and impartial. I am the only candidate in the race that has prosecuted criminal cases and defended people who are accused of crimes. I was both a deputy district attorney early in my career, and I spent time on the court-appointed attorneys panel representing indigent defendants where there was a conflict of interest with the public defender's office. I have tried cases on the plaintiff side and on the defense side in civil litigation. I've represented people from everything to I've represented union workers, I have represented employers, I've represented people unfairly subject to discipline, and I've also represented businesses that were unfairly accused of disciplining people improperly. And so what I come to you with is more than 50 jury trials to my name, in which I've represented really pretty much every side of every major legal issue that comes before the court. And in fact, with the exception of a limited family law experience, and I've done some of that, I've actually handled almost every case a judge could be called to handle.
All right, thank you. Next phase now is 1-minute closing statements from each of you.
All right, well, time goes fast, so I'm going to talk real fast and read from my phone if you'll indulge me. I'm proud to say that I'm endorsed by Elisa Marquez, who is sitting here in our room today. I'm endorsed by the Alameda County Democratic Party. I'm endorsed by the Albany Democratic Club. I'm endorsed by the Alameda County Stonewall Democratic Club. I'm endorsed by the Tri-Valley Democratic Club. I want to read from you quickly an endorsement I received. By the way, I'm also endorsed by 35 sitting judges and commissioners of the Alameda County Superior Court. A criminal defense attorney wrote this about me. Commissioner Fickes is compassionate, kind, considerate, and quite frankly, a fantastic communicator. He has an aura about him that I've seldom seen, having worked with him regularly for more than a year. Appearing before him 3 to 5 times a week, I grow increasingly confident that Commissioner Fickes has not only the experience, composure, and commitment to justice, but also that special ingredient to be a standout judge who commands respect and upholds the law while remaining accessible.
Judge Johnson.
Thank you, and thank you all for this opportunity to speak with you. It's kind of like speed dating. We have to go so fast. But I brought some materials for you. I'd like to hand them out to you when we're done so you can look at my website and see a little bit more about me. Fairness. I loved your question earlier. That's what you look for in a judge. You not only experience, but you look for fairness and impartiality. Every reference I have, every judge who's endorsed me, many of us have the same judges who endorse us, has said the same thing about me. I look forward to the opportunity to speak to you. I'd love to speak to you afterwards if you'd like to, but I appreciate your vote and your support. And please visit my website to find out more information about me before you vote this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ben. So next we're going to have the Alameda County Supervisors race. It's going to be Miley and Esteen. Round of applause for both of them coming up. So thank you guys, thank you all for being here. So next is the Supervisors race. We have Honorable Miley here from Alameda County. And then we have Jennifer Esteen, running for District 4, Supervisor. So again, the rules, 2-minute opening statements from each of you. 1 minute for questions. You get 3 questions each, 1 minute response, and 1 minute closing. So Jen Esteen, we'll start with you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I appreciate being invited to interview with you all today on this rainy Friday night. It's my pleasure to serve the county already in several capacities. I've been on the Eden Mac in our unincorporated community for 4 years, and I was actually appointed by our incumbent. It's always good to have trust in our elected officials. I also have been serving for 3 years on the Alameda Health System Board, 2 years as the Secretary Treasurer, 1 as the Chair of the Finance Committee, and last year as the Vice President of the Board. And the Alameda Health System serves our county by managing and directing the 4 county hospitals, has 318 nursing home beds in its care, several clinics, and has a $1.4 billion operating budget separate from the county. So it's been a great honor to be a public health nurse and psychiatric registered nurse that works at the bedside and also has administrative experience serving our county public health system. In addition to that, I look forward to serving the county as supervisor because the county body is the body that actually manages and governs our public health system, our mental health system, social services, the housing and homelessness services that our county residents either receive or don't, whether or not housing is built, and also our criminal legal system is managed and governed in the county body. As a psychiatric registered nurse, it has been my duty for my 14-year career to make sure that people who have needs, social needs, just like what the county is obligated to provide, is the care that I've been providing. So I have a unique set of skills and expertise that the county body is currently in need of. And we've seen what it looks like in our county. In the last year, the poverty rate has increased by 9%, which means we need to be providing more care. Our unhoused population has doubled from more than 4,000 in 2017 to almost 10,000 now. And I'm honored to be here tonight.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. Some of you already know, but I've been a resident of Oakland for more than 40 years. I came here when I finished law school from the University of Maryland School of Law. I came as a Jesuit volunteer, working in the communities of Oakland, knocking on doors, trying to organize folks so they can make City Hall more responsive. That was my orientation to Oakland and to communities. And through that experience, I've gathered a lot of support, and over the years, ultimately, I got to be elected to the Oakland City Council, and then ultimately the county supervisor. So I've been around for a while doing a lot of good stuff. That's some of my background. Now, in addition, I'm running again for re-election because when I was elected in 2020, I didn't realize that Supervisor Haggerty would be retiring, and quite frankly, none of us knew that our dear Supervisor Wilma Chan and Richard Valle would be passing away. So we've lost 3 supervisors since I was reelected. And then the 4th one, Supervisor Carson, is now going to retire. I think it's important that we continue to have continuity, seasoned experience, someone who has relationships not just here in this county, throughout the community, but throughout the entire Bay Area. and I serve on a number of regional bodies, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, the Bay Area Housing Finance Authority, the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, et cetera. So that, I think, is extremely important. Then, there are many things that I want to continue to do. Work, prioritizing mental health, making sure our neighborhoods are safe, working on homelessness, working on affordable housing, working on social equity and reparations, working on all those issues, delivering quality services to the unincorporated area. I don't do all this myself. I have a great staff that help me to deliver the type of services and the quality that we all deserve here in Alameda County. Thank you.
All right, first question, who's going to be?
Could you say what District 4 is?
Oh,
what,
right.
Yeah.
District 4 is, if you could say that it's Oakland and it's unincorporated area of Ashland, right?
Yep. Ashland, Cherryland, Fairview, Hayward Acres, and Castro Valley.
Okay, thank you.
And Pleasanton.
Oh, yeah, Pleasanton.
And about half of Oakland. It's a huge portion.
Kevin.
It looks like the Oakland A's are moving to Las Vegas, unfortunately. I'm not sure what the county's ownership is now. And could you talk about what your hopes are for the future?
Yeah. First of all, it's a third of Oakland, and it doesn't include Hayward Acres. You got to know your facts. Secondly, the A's are probably going to be leaving. I hope the African American Sports and Entertainment Group gets to take over the entire complex in terms of getting the half that the county is selling to the Oakland A's. They're going to be paying us another $45 million. Having been served on the Oakland City Council, on the Board of Supervisors, and on the Joint Powers Authority, I understand that it's very difficult to try to deal with sports teams and to deliver safety net services. So that's why I've been pushing to get the county out of the sports business. And I'm successful in doing that. The A's are paying the county $85 million. We'll be receiving the other $45 million by May. That's money that we can put into safety net services and other things, from mental health to homelessness to addressing law and order and things of that nature, delivering services throughout the county. So that's where we presently stand. I've tried not to badmouth the A's because there's always a possibility we can get an expansion team down the road.
Yeah, I appreciate the question because we've lost all of our sports teams. The Warriors are gone, the Raiders are gone, the A's are gone. But the county has lost ownership of the Coliseum, and that deal was structured while the incumbent was part of the negotiating team. And losing that ownership means we cannot now redevelop the site with our control. Having a negotiating agreement in place, and the A's have not come to the table. I actually think that we need fresh leadership because the A's don't respect who's at the table today. If they did, we'd already be in development. We have to have a different kind of business acumen because when the deal was struck, there was no community benefits agreement. There was also no conditions to force the A's to come back and help us make sure that we continue to have revenue. We lost tons of tourist dollars, tons of tax dollars, tons of hotel revenue. We need ongoing funds so we can provide social services. But that was not a part of the deal. That's a problem.
Next question. Keep your clap. Next question.
Yes, I have a more granular question. So I'm the father of an 8-year-old, and we love the East Bay. We live here in Hayward. What I haven't been able to do for the last couple of years is go to Jack London Square and park my car. I want to be able to get my son to understand that Jack London Square is a very beautiful area of Hayward that everyone deserves to be a part of. How can I assure him that in the next voting cycle, we'll be able to revisit that area as we did in the past?
I think that's a great question. So Jack London Square, you mean Oakland, right?
Yes.
Yes, Jack London Square is beautiful. Sometimes I encourage people to take public transit, but you shouldn't be forced to make that decision because you're afraid your window is going to get bipped. Everybody should be able to move freely about the Bay Area. And I think one of the things we have to do, we just heard about, I don't know if you saw the news, the Oakland ceasefire program. The statistics have proven that violence prevention investments prevent crime and can make our community safer. The county has a violence prevention program that was developed in 2005 that was never invested in. And that's another failure of leadership. In order for us to make sure all of Alameda County is safe, including Oakland, Jack London, the area by Lake Merritt, all of Oakland, especially by the airport where people are coming in and out with their luggage in their cars, everybody should feel safe. We have to invest in violence prevention measures. Some of that includes social services and ensuring that police can do their job. We need mental health professionals responding to social crisis.
The violence prevention blueprint came in under my leadership. The county presently is putting $5 million into violence prevention. In order to make our community safe, you need prevention, which is upstream, you need intervention, and you need law enforcement. We need to back our law enforcement agencies, particularly when they are doing their work professionally and constitutionally. We need to ensure that we have sufficient services to intervene, and we need to have upstream. I've worked hard. The thing is, we don't control what happens in Oakland, but I've met with the police chiefs, the FBI, the Marshal Services, and others to try to look at how we can support Oakland, because crime is not just happening in Oakland, it's throughout the entire area. Trying to address retail theft, home invasions, things of that nature. We need to look at this comprehensively. We need to have more police officers, because they serve as a deterrent. Some people don't think that, but they do serve as a deterrent. So it's just not one thing, it's a formula: intervention, prevention, and enforcement.
Looking at your history, what are you proudest of?
There's so many things, but one thing I'm very proud of, in 2004, I led the effort to have the county move forward with Measure A, Central Health Care Measure, raises $100 million for health care. We've probably raised about $2 billion since that time. I also pushed the ordinance that became a national model for drugs to be the responsibility of the pharmaceutical industry to take those drugs back under extended producer responsibility. I've worked hard to put forth a comprehensive violence prevention plan that the county adopted, because for a long time the county didn't believe in violence prevention. I pushed that through. I've done quality services in the unincorporated area, putting together the MACs, Fairview MAC, the Eden Area MAC, also working on the Eden Area Livability Initiative, of which we've grown leadership. This is one person. It came out of some of the work I've done, because I encourage leadership. I can't do it all on my own. I want to have grassroots leadership. I want to have community leadership. Those are some of the things I'm very proud of. My Eden Voice, we supported that group to make that happen.
Do I get to answer that?
Sorry.
It's all right. You know, I think that I'm very proud of many things. As a parent who's also an empty nester, it's been my extreme pleasure to raise children to become good citizens. As a nurse, it's been my great honor to work with people who have severe and persistent mental illness, because they absolutely need and deserve care. And it came upon me that some of my clients were going to be unhoused. Their home was going to close. They were going to be evicted. I helped to save 41 beds from being closed. And after that, partnered with supervisors in San Francisco to write 2 pieces of legislation that voters said yes to. One expanded and made more comprehensive mental health care in San Francisco. The other was an excessive CEO income tax that taxed the difference between the lowest paid and highest paid workers, and is now raising $170 million annually. So making sure that we have positive improvement in our community is something that I've done, and I look forward to continue doing. In addition to that, I'm extremely proud of my service on the Health System Board, managing our $1.4 billion budget.
Let's do 3 questions, so 1 minute closing. Let's start, Esteen.
Eyes open. Should I go last?
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate and value the time to be here. The Hayward Democratic Club's endorsed me in the past. I really would appreciate your endorsement again. You know, I'm running because I still have a very strong passion for public service. I've got seasoned, proven, successful track record leadership as a county supervisor, as an elected official, going back to my time on the city council. I've pushed some novel and some significant legislation. I want to continue to work and deliver those type of services as a county supervisor, as the president of the Board of Supervisors. You ask yourself, why do I have the endorsement of the Attorney General Rob Bonta? Why do I have the endorsement of this labor union here? Why do I have the endorsement of SEIU 10-1? Why do I have the endorsement of CNA, the California Nurses Association? Why do I have all these endorsements? Because they recognize the quality of services that I've delivered, the attentiveness I give, the transparency that I have, and my willingness to continue to serve and deliver services to all of you and others in this county. Thank you so very much.
Well, I thank you all again for having me tonight. Endorsements matter, and every Democratic club that has endorsed in this race so far has only endorsed one candidate. That's me, including the Castro Valley Democratic Club, Stonewall Democratic Club, Harvey Milk Democratic Club, many others. Every community group that's endorsed in this race has also endorsed only one person, and that's me. Because our community is recognizing that we need improvement. We need change. We need different kind of investment for our future so that we can be safer going forward than we are today. We know what kind of leadership we've had. We've had the kind of leadership that gives us grand plans and slow implementation. We've had the kind of leadership that has allowed 73 people to die in our county jail and no implementation of sheriff oversight. It is high time for us to have active, energetic leadership that will bring us into the future. We love continuity, absolutely.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next will be Alameda Office of Education. So we have Guadalupe Angulo. Am I saying that right?
You're saying it right.
Oh, good. Hey. For Alameda Office of Education, thank you for coming.
Well, in case the other candidates, we're still going to go to the standard because in case that other candidate shows up, we're going to do the 2-minute opening, 1 minute.
Right, right. So 2-minute opening, floor is yours.
Thank you.
Be sure to say what District 5 is.
Oh yeah, District
Yes.
5.
Yeah.
Say where that is.
Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. So lovely to see all of you tonight. My name is Guadalupe Angulo, and I'm running for Alameda County Board of Education in Area 5, which includes Hayward, Union City, and a little bit of Fremont along the 84 highway. And I just first want to start off with who I am. I am a daughter of immigrants who worked really, really hard and raised me here in Hayward. I graduated from Hayward High, and I have 2 wonderful children today, one that attends Hayward Public Schools, and the other is set to attend as soon as he starts walking. What else about me? Let's see. My heart is about public service. I joined the Alameda County workforce when I was 18, and that was with Child Support Services. So ensuring that young children had the money they needed so that they could grow up, whether it was their mother or their father, but ensuring that they had what they needed, the resources. And then from there, I worked in the Ashland area at Reach Ashland Youth Center as a community outreach worker. So providing resources A through Z for our youth there. And through the pandemic, helping them when schools were shut down, I was on Zoom calls, tutoring them when they were struggling. And so from there, I worked at the juvenile hall with ACOE and ensuring that the students in juvenile halls had the support they needed. So I'm running because I want to make sure that students and teachers have safe schools. I'm running because education saved me and opened doors for me, and I want that for other students as well. And I would love your support in this race, so please visit my website, lupeforacboe.com, and I'm happy to take questions. Thank you. Is that a good picture?
Go ahead. And who's the first one?
Yes, Ron.
Should you get elected, what's one of the top 3 things you'd like to accomplish?
Absolutely. For me, I think with the experience working in the juvenile hall, I noticed that
a lot of the programming that should be in the juvenile hall is not there. And so I would prioritize getting more career technical education in there and ensuring that when these students are leaving the juvenile hall that they have good paying jobs to get to and they know how to navigate life. Because I think that education is public safety if we're preparing our students correctly.
Judy. Hi. So post-pandemic, I think we know now that there's a pretty big learning deficit, especially in some of our lower income areas. What would be one of the ways to address that? It seems like we need some accelerating programs or something to get kids back up to speed, because it's kind of a crisis now just moving to school without, I'm just wondering what your ideas are and your plans to move that forward.
I'm sorry, to move what forward, Julie? Sorry.
Well, so post-pandemic, we know now that there's a big learning deficit for kids that lost those years, during the pandemic, learning online because it wasn't effective for a lot of kids. So what are some of your ideas that you might address that learning deficit?
Absolutely. There's so much that we can be doing. I think it's going to be the budget that we have to look at and make sure that we have the resources. But I think what worked for the students that I was working with is one-on-one time. So however we can get that to happen, whether that be investing in more after-school programs like Reach Ashland Youth Center, or having more tutoring programs come in and be on site, but things that can fill the gaps when we have working parents, when we don't have time to sit down with our students, but we're counting on our educators, I would invest more in that, Julie. So, yeah. Any more questions? Yes, Dan.
Is the County Office of Education in a position to either provide or recommend professional development to other school boards?
Absolutely, it is.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so from what I know is that they can be leaders in providing more professional development to the teachers at different district levels, and so just being more collaborative, seeing what other districts are needing, what are gaps that they are seeing, and then what their staff and teachers want to see. And so I'll be sure to make sure that I'm a voice for teachers as well, as much as I'm a voice for our students.
Some school boards aren't cooperating now, and they're not doing their jobs. Or there may be a couple of people on the school boards. So what do you think ACOE should be doing in regard to that point of view as well?
Yeah, it's definitely a problem, especially with certain politics. I've seen that education is being attacked. And so when we're seeing that, we need to call it out and we need to sit at the same table and we need to work together. It's not always going to be pretty, but it needs to be done, especially when we have little faces, little kids looking at us to be leaders. So I think that's going to be something that I'm definitely pushing. Closure?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Closure,
1 minute closure.
Okay, thank you. So I will be shorter than 1 minute. I'll keep it short and sweet, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm excited to get on the school board or the county board and make sure that I leave my mark and keep championing for students, especially those that are underserved. Please support my race and get a mother into office. I'm excited to keep Hayward going and all the kids in the county. But other than that, I just want to share, I always forget to mention this, but I'm the sole candidate endorsed by the California Teachers Association. I'm the sole candidate endorsed by SEIU, by the Alameda Labor Council, by the Central Committee, and by other great, wonderful organizations. Please look at my website and you'll see everything there. Liz Ortega and Mia Bonta. Thank you.
All right, now we're coming to not so exciting stuff, the bond measures that's coming up on the ballot. First one, we have the Alameda County Measure A. I don't know if you have those programs in front of you. Alameda County Civil Service Amendment Notification Period of Civil Service. Examinations shall Section 36B of the Charter of the County of Alameda be amended to change the notification period of each civil service examination from not less than 25 days to not less than 14 days. Needs to have 50 plus 1 vote to pass. Since
You wanted me to take a stab at it?
Yeah,
Okay.
you want to talk
I'm not
about
running this
that.
campaign, but since I voted to put this on the ballot, we do have some
There you go.
information. So this is basically to streamline the recruitment process for HR. For those of you that have experience in applying for a position for Alameda County, it's very time consuming. So we're losing talent because when you're applying for a job and Santa Clara County, San Francisco County has a shorter window, we're losing talent. So this is just one mechanism to streamline our hiring process. So it's delaying the time that a position has to be posted. So vote yes. Is it Measure A?
Measure A.
Yes, vote yes.
Are they selling it that way?
The party, the Democratic Party has endorsed it as well. Thank you. Second charter
We've
amendment?
got a second one,
Yes.
which is Measure B with Alameda County. It's adopting state recall procedures for use in Alameda County. Shall Section 62 of the County of Alameda Charter governing the recall of elective and appointive county officers to be amended by replacing the current language in its entirety with California state law applicable to the recall of county officers shall govern the recall of the County of Alameda elected officers. Needs 50 plus 1 to pass.
Okay. So Democratic Party has also endorsed this, let's leave with that. But this is basically to bring our county charter up to date. It's 96 years old, and as you see in the news, there are signatures being gathered for multiple recall elections right now, unfortunately, and there's lack of clarity. So if this passes, the goal is to make it consistent with the state recall process. That's all this is. The processes that are taking place right now are parallel. So obviously this is election is in March, so the Register of Voters and the County Board of Supervisors are going to take on the issues with the recall. If this is passed on the ballot, then for further recall processes, it'll streamline things. But it's a parallel process, just to make that clear, because there was a lot of confusion around that.
Wait, can you just say, so it won't affect the current recall
No.
campaigns that are going on right now?
Correct. Yep. Well, it all depends on when the signatures are submitted, when it's verified. Yep. Any other questions? Okay. So vote yes on this as well, please.
All right, next one for Hayward, Measure I, Hayward Unified School District Improvement Bond Measure to upgrade aging classrooms, lab facilities, learning technology, art/music classrooms, improve earthquake, fire safety, emergency communications, school security, improve accessibility for students with disabilities, upgrade plumbing, electrical heating, and air conditioning, and a $550,000 bond measure levying 60 per 100K of assessed value, raising approximately $35.2 million annually. Needs 55% plus 55% to pass. And I approve this. My son is in a Hayward school as well. So yeah, go Farmers.
Yes, go Farmers.
What about Lancers? And I feel really good that our community has supported the other ballot measures that's happened over and over. They've always supported our schools, so I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, it really makes a difference. Julie?
And I just wanted to add, my understanding it's a flat tax, so it's not going to change the amount that's going to be, it's just extending it. Yeah, so it's not going to change the amount of people.
Yeah, it's kind of like Measure C that's coming up too. It's just extending it further. So.
And the Alameda County Democratic Party is endorsed it.
Oh, they have endorsed it. Okay. According to Robin. Yeah.
And I'll just give a little plug. The last bond measure that was passed, you can see the amazing results. Who's familiar with Fairview Elementary School, Tyrell, Schaefer? That makes a big difference in a kid's education to have those new facilities. So.
And they're so proud of their school too. When all right.
And our STEAM centers and our beautiful performing arts, they've done a lot with the Mountain High School.
7 o'clock. I think we finished everything. Marquez and everyone else that came in. Grab donuts on your way out.